It feels like Christmas morning, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, I'm talking about the fact that it is early signing day. Welcome into the show. Gonna be a long one, gonna be a long day in itself. I'm gonna run you through every single commit that currently is committed to the University of Tennessee as things stand. I'm going to give you a little bit of a player bio on each and every one of them. Then I'm going to give you 4 candidates to watch throughout the day over the next 12 hours or so that could be flipping to Tennessee and be signing that dotted line. Right now, Tennessee sits with the 8th best class in the nation, 3rd in the SEC via 24/7 Sports. Early signing day is today to Friday, but the regular signing period will happen on February 4th. However, this is where the big names are. This is where we all need to be on our P's and Q's and watching out for some exciting things to happen. And this exciting thing that's happening is this show gives you a video every single day. Make sure you join the community. Help us get to 10,000 subs. Right now, we're 339 subs away from 10K, which would be a massive milestone. Really appreciate the help. Appreciate the subscription. And with that, let's get on to the rest of our video. 24 commits right now in this class, 3 of those being 5 stars. 11 of those being 4 stars, 10 of those being 3 stars. And it all starts with the man at the top of this list. Of course, I'm talking about Faizon Brandon, the 6'3", 200-pound quarterback out of Greensboro, North Carolina. 7th best player in the nation, 3rd best quarterback, number 1 recruit in the state of North Carolina, and 24/7 Sports has glowing things to say. They say box-checking quarterback with the arm talent and dual-threat athleticism to light up scoreboards on Saturdays and then eventually Sundays. Looks the part with a budding frame that's hovering around 6'3.5", 200 pounds, and should only continue to get bigger as he will start college well before his 18th birthday. I see a sturdy base and a smooth release to rip lasers to all different corners of the field. Ball at times will jump out of his hands as he hits his short and intermediate targets with conviction. Has spent the past 2 years coordinating a single back spread attack that's heavy on the RPO looks, more than capable of moving the chains on design runs with his power and acceleration. Now, as excited as I am for Faizon Brandon, I don't think he's going to be the starter going forward in 2026, regardless of what happens with Joey Aguilar. We all know that Josh Heupel and true freshman quarterback, they don't mix well. However, 2027 and beyond, that is all Faizon Brandon's. What he can do with you in the run, what he can do with you with his arm. He can hurt you in multiple ways. He looks ready to play college football right now. Cannot wait to see him in orange and white. Another guy I can't wait to see in orange and white is Tristen Keys. 2026 wide receiver commit, one of your 3 5-stars, 6'2", 180 pounds out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. 11th best player in the nation, 2nd best wide receiver, number 1 player in Mississippi. Now, if you do remember, he wasn't always committed to Tennessee. He was committed to LSU back over the summer. However, he flipped that commitment in late August, and this class has really just taken off from it. The best wide receiver commit Josh Heupel has ever landed. 24/7 Sports says he's a potential game wrecker on the outside that can attack all 3 levels and constantly challenge defenses. Pairs elite ball skills together with dynamic route running, superior athleticism, and a long levered frame. Creates separation with his suddenness and will break off defensive backs with snappy cuts. Attacks the football with confidence and has a rather high success rate in contested catch situations, usually creating an advantage with his natural bounce, competitive with the ball in his hands, and can hit the throttle to capitalize on his catch and run opportunities. Look, you should be excited for Tristen Keys because we're in an era in college football where true freshman wide receivers are making an impact in year 1. See Ryan Williams last season. See Jeremiah Smith last season. See Malachi Toney with the Miami Hurricanes this year. He's got an opportunity to be a game changer, game wrecker on week 1. Watching some of his film, man, this guy looks the part. He plays like the part. Contested catches are unbelievable. Cannot wait for Tristen Keys. Which of those 2 are you most excited for? Faizon Brandon or Tristen Keys? Give me an FB or a TK in the comment section down below. No wrong answers. I just want to see where you guys are at. The final 5-star that we've got coming to the University of Tennessee is Gabriel Osenda. 6'7" offensive tackle, 330 pounds, of course, is at Baylor High School in Chattanooga, Tennessee. 90th best player in the country, 11th best offensive tackle, and in the state of Tennessee, 4th best prospect. 24/7 says, giant boulder-like tackle with devastating power in the run game that can also clamp down in pass protection. Clears traffic with his initial surge as angles off defenders, and generates plenty of movement with a burly upper half, tall and naturally upright athlete, but one that works to establish leverages as he looks to forklift assignments with his sustained effort. if you're not able to lock down Lance Hurd for another year, and I know they're working on that right now, look to see David Sanders start at left and then Gabriel Asinda starting at right tackle next season. Now, moving on to the 4 stars, we find T.J. White, 2026 linebacker commit, 6'1", 230 pounds, out of Jackson, Mississippi. 55th best national player, 4th best linebacker, 4th best player in Mississippi. A little bit of what you can expect from T.J. White is a hybrid defender that can get after the quarterback. Snap count is heavy on the edge, looks, but he has also displayed the ability to drop as an off-ball linebacker in camp settings. Suddenness and unexpected power has proven to be no match for opposing offensive tackles as he attacks the corner with plenty of vigor. Look, Eric Carter, I loved what we saw out of him this season. Outside of that, I felt that there was a drop-off in linebacker. I think Perlotti's going to give you a lot of great snaps next season. T.J. White just might be that next guy in this defense. Joel Wyatt is a guy I'm really, really excited about. He's an athlete. 6'4", 4-star, 195 pounds, out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, 65th best player in the nation, 4th best athlete in the class, okay, and 2nd best player in the state of Tennessee. He can play both sides of the football, but it feels like he's going to be a little bit better on the defensive side. By far, says 214-7 Sports, one of the more unique prospects in the class, as he's a freak athlete with freak size that can project to a variety of different positions. Safety, linebacker, wide receiver, and possibly even edge. Owns a multi-sport profile and has tested off the charts for someone that's hovering on 6'4", 200 pounds. I think Joel Wyatt's ceiling is so unbelievably high. I cannot wait to see what he does in orange and white. Another athlete who's got a really high ceiling is, of course, Celesi Moa, 6'1", 190-pound athlete out of Ogden, Utah, 45th best player in the class, 3rd best athlete, number 1 player in the state of Utah. It was a guy who you were a little bit surprised when he ended up committing to Tennessee. A lot of people thought he was going to stay on the West Coast, but he didn't. Now, he did take an official visit to Michigan over the last weekend. However, people feel good about him sticking with Tennessee. He's a productive two-way athlete with slick athleticism that can play on either side of the ball in college, but might make the most sense at wide receiver. Frequently finds ways to slip behind defenders and race into the deeper third, as he's technically advanced route runner that can mix gears and create separation. I think he's going to be a better wide receiver. I think they're going to play him at wide receiver, and I think Celesi Moa is a big reason that a guy like Legend Bay ended up flipping, is now at Ohio State. Braden Roos is the next guy we're going to talk about. 4-star linebacker, Marietta, Georgia, is where he plays his football. 6'2", 210 pounds, 86th best player in this class, 7th best linebacker, 10th best prospect in the state of Georgia. And that's the thing about recruiting in the state of Tennessee. Look, you don't have the most talent in the country like Texas, Louisiana, California, Florida, and I would say even Georgia are better. But that's a good thing about Tennessee. You're long. You border the most states across the country, okay? Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Kentucky, South Carolina, and getting a guy out of Georgia is going to help your program a lot. Kamari Blair is a guy I'm really excited about. He's coming out of Clarksville, Tennessee, 152nd, and that's not his picture right there, but we all know what Kamari Blair looks like. 15th best offensive tackle, 6th best player in the state of Tennessee, flipped from South Carolina to the Vols. Cannot wait to see him in action. Zach Groves out of Cross Plains, Tennessee, is another guy we got to talk about. 2026 edge commit. One of the guys I'm most excited that Chop and or RG got to recruit. 279th best player in the country, 27th best edge, 10th in the state of Tennessee. Darion Albert, let's go into the interior of the defensive line. 6'2", 305 pounds, out of Jackson, Mississippi. The staff spent a lot of time in Mississippi over the recruiting period. 382nd best prospect, 41st best on the defensive line, and 17th best in Mississippi. He's got a wide and powerful tackle that can be a one-gap penetrator on Saturdays with his agility and activity in the middle. Moves to the lower center of gravity as he's believed to be under 6'2", but is frequently in control of his body in tight quarters as he angles his way through or around blocks. Having a good interior is so massive for your defensive line. I mean, look what Omar Nolan did last season. Cannot wait to see what David Hobbs does next season. Darion Albert could be the next big one at Tennessee. Zay Anderson out of Greenville, Tennessee, 5'11", 4-star athlete commit. 240th best prospect, 11th best athlete in the class, and 9th best player in the state of Tennessee. 24/7 Sports says he's a dynamic athlete with a decorated track and field profile that makes plays in all three phases of the game with his acceleration and agility. Could certainly carve out a role as a slot wide receiver with his field flipping potential, but his ceiling appears to be highest as a cover corner that can shadow top targets with his speed and fluidity. And I'll tell you this right now, with where you are at cornerback with Ricky Gibson and Jamal McCoy not being with this program next year, probably Colton Hood as well, I think Zay Anderson is going to be a corner. Tyreek King. I talked about Joe Wyatt having a really high ceiling. Tyreek King is a guy I think has a massive ceiling as well. 5'10", 168-pound wide receiver out of Knoxville, Tennessee, goes to Knox Catholic, who you've been able to get some really, really good recruits out of. I think most recently you got Tyler Barron. Both of the Mays brothers went to Knox Catholic. 108th best prospect, 15th best wide receiver, and 5th best prospect in the state of Tennessee. He's a big play waiting to happen at wide receiver, an elite athlete in the combine, setting with long speed and explosion. Carries athleticism over to the field where he's a threat to score anytime he touches the ball, flashes high-end bursts off the line of scrimmage, easily sacks corners in man coverage. Seeing the speed that this guy has when you watch the film, it jumps off the page. Reminds me a lot of a guy who won a Bolitnikoff a couple years ago at the University of Tennessee, of course. I'm talking about Jalen Hyatt. I think Tyreek King might be the biggest sleeper in this class. Speaking of that, who's your biggest sleeper in this year's class? To be a sleeper, you got to be out of the top 100. That's the parameters. Who do you think that is in this year's recruiting class? Tell me down below in the comments. We got more players to get to, 10 3-stars that I got to tell you all about. But I also got to tell you all about this great deal over at chatsports.com/UT Black Hoodie, where you can get this Black Tennessee hoodie on sale for $35. That's $25 off. In this economy, go, run. Don't even ask your significant other. Don't even ask your mom or dad. Chatsports.com/UT Black Hoodie. I'll put that link in the comments and description of today's show. $35 at all its costs. Great Christmas present, great Hanukkah present, great anything. If you want to get it for yourself, do it. Chatsports.com/UT Black Hoodie. Hezekiah Harris, 2026 edge rusher, formerly committed to Auburn, 165th best player in the class, 21st best edge rusher, 7th best out of the state of Alabama. This was a really big get for Josh Heupel in early September. I remember he committed on Labor Day right after you beat Syracuse. Couple of wins stacked in a row, and that's because he's a lanky pass rusher. It's going to likely be a longer burn as he needs to undergo a major physical transformation. Size has not been third-party verified, but is believed to be pushing 6'5" and equipped with above-the-rim athleticism. Wins primarily with his reach as he can walk back high school offensive tackles with the long arm. So it's not the height they're worried about. It's the weight, 235 pounds. Definitely got to bulk up, but hey, that's what your freshman year in an SEC program exactly is for. On the edge, we got Kedrick Golston II. 6'2", 235 pounds out of Ashburn, Virginia. 448th best national prospect, 43rd best edge rusher, 11th in the state. Just give me as many 3-star, 4-star, and 5-star edge rushers as you can. These guys have the chance to turn into real playmakers at Tennessee. C.J. Edwards is another edge rusher. Speaking of 3 stars, 676th best player in the nation, 68th best edge, and 10th best player in New Jersey. We're staying on the defensive line for a while because we got to talk next about Darrell Rivers, 270 pounds out of Powder Springs, Georgia, 515th best player in the nation, 58th best at his position at defensive line. Javonte Smith really, really intrigues me at 6 foot, 170 pounds out of Jackson, Tennessee. He's a 3-star cornerback, not super high, like barely cracks the top 50 in terms of corners. But think about what Tennessee's been able to do with their cornerbacks recently, turning a guy like, Jermar McCoy, not a lot of people had a lot of high hopes for, into a top 15 draft pick. A guy like Ty Redmond this year, 3-star, came in, true freshman. He looked wonderful, especially from, beginning to end. I think Javonte Smith could be the next Ty Redmond. Joe Akambe, safety commit out of Marietta, Georgia, 6'1", 192 pounds, 629th best player in the nation, 49th best safety, and the 70th best player in the state of Georgia. KJ McLean, those two will be battling it out for that safety spot out of Montvale, New Jersey. 5'11", 165 pounds, 676th best player in the class. Get as many safeties as you can in this recruiting class. Get even more in the transfer portal. That's going to be a big position moving forward for Tennessee. Edward Baker coming in from the interior of the offensive line, 6'4", out of Baltimore. Maryland, 335 pounds. Just cracks the top 1,000 in recruits this season. Luke Thompson, 6'1", 176 pounds. He's an athlete, 629th best player in the country. He plays both ways. I think, actually, Luke Thompson is going to be the next Riley Moss, the next white cornerback. Look to him to be a corner when he comes to Tennessee. Jemiah Theodore, another Baylor High School guy, 899th best player in the country, 3-star cornerback, 6 foot, 171 pounds. He's coming over, of course, with Gabriel Ascenda. And Luca Wolf, your most recent commit to Tennessee. He's 6'5", 246 pounds, out of London, England. He actually played, did I say England? England. He actually played in the NFL Academy, was formerly committed, I believe it was to Cal. It was to Cal. Then decommitted, committed to Tennessee. Barely cracks the top 1,500, but exciting prospect nonetheless. We're going to round things out with 4 names you need to watch for today. 4-star edge rusher Jordan Carter. Decommitted from A&M about a month ago. Still doesn't know where he's going to end up. I think it's going to be Auburn, Tennessee, or Georgia Tech. I really think that battle's between Tennessee and Georgia Tech. 4-star running back Amari Latimer, currently committed to Wisconsin. Flip rumors are between Miami and Tennessee, with Miami just getting a little bit of the edge. But who knows? Tennessee does not have a running back commit in this class. You know they're desperate at that position. 4-star edge rusher Carter Gooden. Right now he's committed to UCLA, but the flip battle is between Vanderbilt and Tennessee. And then 3-star defensive lineman J.J. Finch. This one seems all but done, as Alabama's actually kind of moved on from him. But I would love 3-star defensive lineman to move from the Crimson Tide and get to the right spot in the SEC in Knoxville, Tennessee. Tennessee ends this period with the top blank recruiting class in the country. What do you think? Right now they're sitting at 8th. Do they crack the top 5? Do they stay where they are? Do they go out of the top 10? You let me know down below. Whew. I need to catch your breath. A little bit of a longer one today. Appreciate you guys for sitting with me. Make sure you get me followed on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, youtube.com/FallsTalk. We'll be getting a later video out for you guys. Might even be going live later. Make sure you get those notifications on as well.